Are you dreaming of visiting Switzerland? Planning a trip to Switzerland is very exciting, but it can also be overwhelming. How do you choose which of the many scenic cities, towns and villages to visit? Which mountaintop excursions should you take? And what's the best way to get around Switzerland? And of course, how much of the country can you realistically see within your time frame? If you've asked yourself any of these questions, this is the podcast for you. This is the Holidays to Switzerland travel podcast, and in each episode, your host Caroline Schonnefinger chats with Swiss travel experts to answer your most commonly asked questions, provide practical tips, and take you on a virtual visit to the most popular destinations, and of course some hidden gems to help you plan your dream trip to Switzerland. And you'll hear plenty of conversations about Swiss cheese and chocolate too. Are you ready to plan your trip to Switzerland? Well, let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to episode 99 of the Holidays to Switzerland podcast. Switzerland's panoramic train rides are world famous, and for very good reason. And whilst names like the Glacier Express and Bernina Express are familiar to many folks planning to visit Switzerland, there's one panoramic train that flies a little under the radar. It's the Gotthard Panorama Express, a combined boat and panoramic train journey that connects Lucerne in central Switzerland with Lugano in the south. And today we're going to hear all about this unique and special journey. My guest, Laura Lichtenberger, has been fascinated by trains since she started her career selling tickets at Basel Station. Today she is the sales manager for Gotthard Panorama Express, and she's here today to share with us the incredible history of the Gotthard Tunnel and the best way to experience a journey on the Gotthard Panorama Express. Hello, Laura. Thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today. Would you like to start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your background in the Swiss travel industry?
Yes. Hi, Caroline. Thanks for having me. So, Laura, I'm 33 years old and I live in the pretty little town of Olten in Switzerland. It's located between Basel and Zurich. And yes, I have been working for the Swiss Railways for about 5 years now. And one of my roles is being the sales manager of the Gotthard Panorama Express. I actually started my career at the Swiss Railways when I was 20 years old. And my first job was at the front. I used to sell train tickets to the people who came to the counters in Basel. And that was a really exciting time because Basel is located near France and Germany. So we had a lot of tourists coming in. And yeah, it was really good.
So you've got a very long history with working and promoting train travel then?
Yes, I do. I don't know, when I started working there, I just got hooked. You either fall in love with trains or probably you don't, but I did so much. And I never wanted to stop working for them. Yeah, I did my tourism degree while working on the counters. And then I thought, what do I do next? So I tried to get a job at the Swiss Railways in a different position. But then I got a job offered in London. And I thought, oh my God, I have to take that. I have to go over there. So I did, and I started working as a travel agent for the Switzerland Travel Centre.
Okay, yeah.
And that's when I really got into the whole panoramic train journey thing, because that's what I did there. I booked those panoramic train journeys for clients all over the world. And one of them obviously was the Gotthard Panorama Express.
Yeah, fantastic. And now you find yourself in a role where you're promoting that particular train. Amazing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So for our listeners who perhaps aren't familiar with it, would you like to tell them exactly what the Gotthard Panorama Express is?
Yes, of course. So it is a panoramic journey from Lucerne to Lugano, or the other way around. And it's a combination of boat and train travel. So you start in Lucerne by hopping on the boat for about 3 hours. And then you arrive in Flüelen, where you board the Gotthard Panorama train. And that brings you down south to Lugano in just about 2.5 hours.
Fantastic. So when you mentioned there the boat cruise, so you're basically going from one end of Lake Lucerne right down to the other. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So it's two regions that are combined, and the regions of Lucerne and Lugano. And yes, in between, there's a beautiful lake. It's quite a long journey. It's 3 hours you do, and you see so much on that lake. So yes, it's a great trip.
Yeah, good. All right. We'll talk more about the actual trip itself in a moment, but what's the history behind the train or the Gotthard Panorama Express journey and the Gotthard Tunnel?
Okay, so that's quite a big story. So imagine before the tunnel existed, the people used to travel by steamboat to Flielen and then with the stagecoach down to Italy.
Mm.
So a trip from up north, from Basel down to Italy to Milano took about 50 hours.
Oh, wow.
That was quite a long time to travel. And today, the fastest route by train is only 3 hours.
Amazing.
So it's pretty amazing. And it was such an important route, not only for traveling, but also for dealing with goods. And then at some point, they hired an engineer who built the tunnel from Göttingen to Airolo in 1872. And the guy was called Louis Favre, and he was from Geneva. He got the job because he was obviously a bit of a daredevil and said he could only finish it in 8 years. And in the end, it took 10 years to finish it. So it officially opened on 22nd of May, 1882. And at that time, it was the longest tunnel in the world. It was revolutionary.
Yeah, wow.
That was quite a big thing. And to be fair, I have to mention that because I read so much about it. The people who built the tunnel were mainly Italian workers from the Piedmont region. So it is assumed that about 20 up to 25,000 workers were involved during those 10 years. They built that tunnel, and I could tell you so much about it, but I'm going to stop here. It is said that when Louis Favre died just before the tunnel was opened, he died in the tunnel, unfortunately. And it is said that the Italian workers, when they did the breakthrough, the first thing that went through the tunnel really, or through that little hole, was a picture of him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
He obviously, was a real pioneer, and as you said, it's just an engineering masterpiece to have happened so long ago that they obviously didn't have the tools and equipment that we have today. So, what an amazing feat.
Yeah, it was. Really.
Yeah. Wow.
And
so how is the trip on the Gotthard Panorama Express best experienced, would you say?
So I think best experience is it's part of the Grand Train Tour. So if you have a lot of time, you can do the Train Tour in 8 days. Better to be done in 14 days, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that much time, maybe you could just do the Gotthard Panorama Express yourself in about 3 to 4 days. So with 1 night in Lucerne, 1 night in Lugano. Or especially when you're coming down from Amsterdam with a river cruise, you could add it on to heading down to Italy or the other way around. But it's just a perfect connection from north to south.
Yeah,
All
okay.
the way around.
Yeah, plenty of options there then. And so many visitors love to go and stay in Lucerne because it's such a beautiful city. Even if they've, as you say, just got 1 extra night they could spend at Lugano, they can do the trip and get down to the south of Switzerland as well.
Yes, exactly.
So you already mentioned the whole journey connects Lucerne in central Switzerland with Lugano in the south. What are some of the highlights of the trip, do you think?
So it is a very historic and personal experience. So when you're on the boat, you've got magnificent views on the mountains around you. You have Rigi on the left, you have Pilatus on the right, and you pass the Rütli Meadow. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but tell our listeners about that if you don't mind.
So that's quite a historical place for all Swiss people, because it's said that in 1291, the oath of the Swiss Confederation was sworn there. So it's the birthplace of Switzerland. But to be fair, it's not historically proven. It's a myth. So we don't know for sure. They still celebrate it, actually. On 1st of August, they have celebrations up there. And the High and Mighty Seven of Switzerland come and, do like a speech, something. Yeah.
Okay. But it may be a myth.
Yeah. So that's the lake cruise thing. But then when you board the train in Flüelen, what I really love are the tour guides on the train, because they all have their own connection to the route and to the Gotthard train, and they are very open-hearted and chatty. So they can tell you everything about the train, the route, the tunnel, the surroundings, every name of each lake you pass.
Okay.
And they love interacting with the guests. And I think that's because they're not doing it every day, because you do that job like 20% of your time during summer.
Okay.
So they maybe do it once a week, each of them. So they're always full of power when they're finally on the train again. That's what they told me. And that's what I like the most.
Okay, so the guides, do they just wander through the different carriages and answer any questions and point sites out to the passengers?
Yes, that's exactly what they do. So they go through the carriages, and when there's a new highlight coming up, they tell everyone, okay, now look to the left or look to the right. They answer questions. They tell you maybe a little bit more off the beaten track. Each of them has her or his own very little story they can tell. They're just so close to the guests, and all of them are very enthusiastic.
Yeah. They're great. So it's like having your own tour guide on the train.
Yes, it's definitely like that, yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm sure there's so much to see, as you mentioned, as you travel both on the boat and the train. But is there a section that you would say is your favourite, or one that you think is the most picturesque?
I have indeed a favourite section. And that is the one when you're actually just before or after the tunnel. The train must overcome many meters in altitude in a short amount of time. So that's why the route has many like spiral loops. And then I first realized that really when I was traveling from Lugano to Lucerne. And after we came out of the tunnel, you get to see the Church of Wasen, which is one of the sightseeings. And the church is on the right, and it's very far away and small and below us. And then minutes later, all of a sudden, it was on the left, very big and very close. And I was like, oh, what happened here?
Magic.
Because obviously, I was again chatting to someone, not paying attention. And then I realized, oh, wow, that the church is now here on the left. And I loved that unexpected moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really
great.
Nice. Yeah.
Great. So for people who are travelling on the boat and the train, what sort of services can they expect on board?
So during the whole season, there are usually paddle steamer boats running. And in the paddle steamer boats, you can see a lot of the marine engine inside.
Okay.
They have a lower deck, they have an upper deck, they have a restaurant to have lunch. And the boat is running in first and second class, so you can do either of it. The Gotthard Panorama train only runs in first class. And when you change in Flüelen, which is like only a few meters away from the boat to the train, which makes it very convenient, you board the Gotthard Panorama train with its high panorama windows. That's really nice.
Okay.
And you have a photo wagon on that train, which I really love, because unlike in whole Switzerland, or I think they still have some photo wagons, but very rarely. It's just not common anymore that you can open the windows. But that's a speciality, and you just get better pictures.
Yeah, no glare from the glass if you can put the window down. Yeah, okay, that's a good tip to know. And so what about if people are in a wheelchair? Are the boat and the train accessible for them?
The boat is accessible, yes. For the train, it's much harder. It's not really at the moment a great thing to do, but we're working on that.
Okay. I'm sure you are. Switzerland is always, working on improving things. So that's great. And can you tell us a little bit more about dining on the boat? Because I know that's something that I'm quite looking forward to when I do this journey in a month or so's time. How does it work with dining on board the boat?
Okay, so you can actually reserve a seat. I would say you should really, because seats are booked very quickly. So it's on the seat. It's actually a restaurant reservation you can do. And then you can actually choose the menu yourself. Or I think they have even pre-booked options if you like that.
Okay. Can you sit out on the deck or do you dine inside?
Oh, you dine inside. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah,
Very
maybe that's their improvement they could do.
Yeah. No, I'm sure dining inside would still offer amazing views as you're cruising across Lake Lucerne and enjoying a delicious meal. Now, lots of travellers who are taking the Gotthard Panorama Express journey will have luggage with them. Is there much room to store luggage on board the boat and the train?
Yeah, so for groups, the Swiss Railways offer a group luggage service from hotel. And for independent travels, we offer a luggage service, so you don't have to worry about that at all.
Okay.
Because when you board the boat, you can give your luggage into our good hands and we bring it to Flüelen, and then it actually goes with you on the train down to Lugano, and only in Lugano you get your luggage back. So you have your hands free, it's stress-free, so nothing to worry about. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because I do know that some travellers perhaps do take a little bit too much luggage. So if they don't have to manoeuvre that on and off the boat and the train, that makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk about tickets and reservations, because I know with some of the panoramic trains in Switzerland, you need to have a seat reservation. How does the ticketing and the reservations work with the Gotthard Panorama Express?
So we accept all kinds of tickets. So the Interrail works, the Eurail, the Swiss Travel Pass, even day cards or normal point-to-point tickets. And the most important thing is that the Gotthard Panorama train is only available in first class. So if you have a second class ticket, no worries. Just book a class upgrade for that little route.
Okay.
So, for example, Swiss Travel Pass second class, and you do a class upgrade. I would suggest to do it for the whole trip, because even on the boat, it is so lovely to be in first class. That's the main thing. And the reservation, of course, on the boat, you can just choose your seat. That's totally free. And for the Gotthard Panorama train, you need a seat reservation, which gives you like dedicated seats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, with that, the class upgrade, they could just do that, prior to boarding in Lucerne or in Lugano? It doesn't need to be purchased further ahead than that, does it?
Yes, it should be purchased ahead.
Okay.
I recommend it. Like when you do the seat reservation, book also at the same time the class upgrade.
Okay, great. And do the usual Swiss discounts for children apply? So if someone's travelling with the Swiss Family Card or a junior card, for instance, are they applicable on the Gotthard Panorama Express?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
So if the child needs their own seat on the train, of course, you can book a seat as well. If it's really tiny still, of course, you can have it on your lap.
Okay. Very good. All right. Now, I should ask you, where can people make those bookings for the train and the boat journey?
Oh, yeah, good question. So we actually have our own website. It's www.gotthard-panorama-express.ch. Or you can actually book it with your trusted travel agent.
Okay.
And I'm sure there are other websites where you can book it, of course, and always, for example, Get Your Guide or something. Behind that is usually a tour operator who books the train in the end for you. But it's always best to book directly with us because we have the newest information.
That's right. And I will put a link to your website in the show notes for this episode, as well as there's a great map that you sent me from the brochure, which shows the route and all the highlights along the way. So I'll add a picture of that map to the show notes as well, so people can check that out. Now, one important thing that we need to know is, can people take this journey all year round, or is it seasonal? And how many services operate each day in each direction?
Okay, so it operates only from mid-April to about mid-October, and only from Tuesday to Sunday. So you have one connection going south and one connection going north.
Okay. Now, I noticed there that you didn't mention Mondays. The journey isn't available on Mondays. Why is that?
So there is only one panorama train, and we would just like our clients to experience a good quality. So we have to send our baby to the maintenance center once in a while. No, we do that. We do that every Monday, and we give it you could say a full day beauty treat.
Okay.
We do clean the wagons inside out. We scrub the windows, do the brakes, check the air conditioning, and just to make sure the trip is safe and everyone feels great and having a good time with us. Yeah.
Wonderful. So Monday is like makeover day. That's good to know. So in your opinion, what makes the Gotthard Panorama Express journey so special, and why should our listeners include it in their Switzerland itinerary?
So one thing I need to mention is it combines Lucerne and Lugano, and in Lucerne you eat schnitzel, in Lugano the risotto, you're yodeling in Swiss German, and in Lugano you listen to Italian opera. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm on about. It's two very diverse regions. That's one point. And what I really like about this trip is that you have the boat trip half of the time, and then half of the time you've got the train bit. So it feels a bit adventurous and also very exciting, because it splits up the journey, and it's always nice after being 3 hours on a boat to feel the floor again for like 2 minutes before you board the train again. Yeah, and to sum it up, it's the combination of the personal experience on the train with the tour guides, and also this special feeling while traveling through the Gotthard Tunnel with its fascinating story. That's for me.
And as you said, it's connecting the two very different regions, and you've got the two modes of transport, and you've got all that history as well. So it's quite unique.
Yeah, it is.
Wonderful. So for our listeners who would like more information, as I mentioned, I'll put a link to the Gotthard Panorama Express website in the show notes, so they can go on there and get any more information that they need, and hopefully book their seat reservations so that they too can enjoy this journey themselves very soon.
Yes, that'd be brilliant. Thank you, Caroline. Looking forward to many more travelers on the Gotthard Panorama Express.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Laura, for taking the time to tell us all about it today. I'm sure you've now given everyone another panoramic train journey in Switzerland that they've just added to their list, and hopefully we hear from them that they're all booking their trip very soon.
Thank you.
What a fantastic journey. The Gotthard Panorama Express combines two of my favourite things to do in Switzerland: travel by train and cruise on a lake. Now, I haven't yet experienced the Gotthard Panorama Express myself, but I'm happy to say I have my reservations confirmed for June 2024, and I'm really excited about it. I'll let you know all about the trip in my post-trip podcast episode in July, so make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss out. If you'd like to see some photos of the Gotthard Panorama Express, or you're ready to book your trip, you'll find the link to the Gotthard Panorama Express website in the show notes. I'll also include a link to our free Scenic Rail Journeys in Switzerland guide, so you can grab a copy of that and start planning your Swiss rail vacation. Thanks very much for joining me today. I hope you'll join me next time for more Swiss travel tips and inspiration in our 100th episode. Until then, tschüss!